COVID, when everybody was shutting down, you were opening up. How did that happen?
Everyone is at home. We saw a huge spike in our viewership. We love your product, but where can we come? Feel, touch, try on. I was so scared. Oh my God, I don't know if we'll be able to make rent. The first month, the store paid itself times 10.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment.
She built a business on a platform most people were using to post holiday photos and food pictures. Turned likes into customers, customers into a community, and a community into a business. A woman who has been unusually honest about ambition, money, risk. This is Cris Njoki. What's the cost of building visibility?
If anything happens in your personal life, if you're too attached to the brand, immediately the brand also suffers.
What does it mean for you to speak publicly about failure?
I know how difficult it was for me starting out, and what drives me to be able to share some of these failures is I wouldn't want anybody else to make the same mistake.
You say, me, I love money.
Me, I love
okay?
money.
And you say it loudly. Okay?
Yeah.
For us, when we talk about it, we just say, no, us, we are making an impact.
We are all in this world for the first time. We all want the best experiences life has to offer. Whether we like it or not, that will be guided by the money we make.
If a genie appeared out of a bottle and gave you 3 wishes, what would you change?
Wow.
The icon, see what I did there? Cris Njoki. Karibu sana to the Nitpicker Podcast.
Thank you so much. And I'm glad you said icon because I'm iconic.
Oh, I'm sorry. We are very sorry.
Recognize.
I was being told, when I first got familiar with your name, and I was talking to the producer Koi there, and she said, this, she does this clothing brand. I said, oh, IKOJN. And so Koi was like, Carol, if she comes on the podcast, please understand it's icon.
Let me tell you, I've had all of them. IKOJN. You see, it's okay.
So what alone, huh?
Yeah, but now you know, and now you'll never say it again. So now you know it's the icon. J is silent.
So Njoki, Cris, I'm Gen X, and I built my career before social media existed as a business tool. For us guys, the first social media was Facebook, and we were so excited to see our friends on it, yeah?
Yeah.
But you not only started, but you also built your brand because of it. You figured a way to use it for business. And that's where I want to start, yeah? How did it occur to you to use social media as a business tool? And I'm going to be very honest, for me, this is a generational discussion because for us, social media is a way to communicate, and to connect with old friends. And how did you learn to trust the ground that is social media? These are platforms that you don't own. Algorithms can change overnight. Instagram can be shut down. But you started off of it and have grown from it. How?
So that's actually an interesting question. And I'm glad you've led with that because it's true. Yeah, I feel like social media literally was the foundation of the brand. And it started with, because even before I started IKOJN, how I got into it was I needed money to start IKOJN. And so I used to shop a lot in like secondhand markets, the outdoor markets. And now I realized that was a way for me to actually build my revenue before I started the brand. And so I used to go and buy mtumba and then I'd sell it, right? And I remember the first time I did it, I had 200 bob, which is a story we can get into later. But I had 200 bob, and instead of spending it on myself, I decided, let me buy 4 dresses, each was 50. And then I took them home. I took pictures with my mom's camera. At that time, I was like 23, maybe.
And this is a camera, not a phone
camera. Like the digital one. I took pictures on my phone and I posted them on Facebook. And for me at that time, Facebook was still new. You can imagine that was like how many years ago? Maybe like 12, 13 years ago. Facebook was new for everybody, even for me. And I remember I'd seen, I think I'd seen a couple of pages selling stuff online. And it wasn't local brands though. It was just like guys, I think in the US or whatever. And I was like, I think I can try. So I took the pictures of the 4 dresses. I posted them on my personal page and I sold them like in less than a day, each for 800 bob. And I was like, what? I think that's when social media hit me. Like, this is not just a place to connect. You can actually use it for business. And that's how, before I started IKOJN, that's how I started building some capital to be able to start IKOJN. And I remember I did that. From there, I got, I think it was like 3,000 and something. Immediately the next day, went back to Gikosh and now bought all these dresses with that money. And we just now kept doing that. And I would sell on Facebook and I'd deliver to people who had never seen these clothes. Like it was just a whole thing for me. And I think now my awakening for social media and business started there.
Were these your friends? Were they your people? I mean, were these people you were connected to? Who were these who were buying?
So initially when I did it, it was on my personal page. So it was a mix because at that time I had a couple of friends, maybe a couple of just like random people. But I don't think I ever got like close friends buying from me until maybe a couple of years later. But I'd say, there were just like people who maybe we'd connected on Facebook at one point and they saw the dress and they liked it and they bought it.
And all you did was just curate, going through that mass of clothes at Gikosh and just curating it by producing the really nice ones. And the reason I'm asking this is when we were in university, which was in 19 round about early 90s.
Okay.
We my friends and I, we were in University of Nairobi, we were in Parkland's campus.
Yeah.
And because you've only got X amount of money from your parents for allowance, we used to go to Ngara to buy clothes.
Yeah.
Until one of my friends said, we're buying clothes from Ngara because that's where the second-hand markets were. But if we go to Gikosh, the sauce, we can be able to get them cheaper.
That's really me.
But we went to Gikosh, and Gikosh wasn't as how you're seeing Toy Market now, where you've got specialization. The guys who just do white shirts, the guys who do button-down shirts, the guys who just do t-shirts. I mean, the level of granularity that is in the second-hand market just blows me away.
Yeah.
In those days, we'd go to Gikosh, and the clothes were in a pile. And you'd literally
look
have
for the
to
gems.
Exactly, but you need all day now because we're in Campo and you're like, I got nothing better to do. We'd do that.
Yeah.
And I guess what I'm hearing you saying is by you then saying you've gone through all that pile, you've selected what it is and bought it.
I used to go at 4 a.m. Like that's how serious that business got for me. Because the first time I did it was just like, because I used to go shopping myself. So it was in the middle of the day. When I saw that I could sell things on Facebook, I don't even have to have a shop. I don't need to go and G-hook to anybody. I could do it on Facebook. I used to wake up at 4 a.m., 4:30. I'm on my way. I get the mat at 4:45. I'm there before, as the sun is coming up. I'm there.
As the bales are being opened.
Yes, as the bales are being opened. I did that for 1.5 years. Even now when I go back, because once in a while I just like to go back and see what's happening.
Yeah.
My guys, I still have guys there who know me by name. They're like, Njoki, literally.
Wow.
It became very serious. So I used to go there 5 a.m. when the sun is coming up, I'm there. And I think that was part of the appeal for me, just like hunting, because I really love a good deal. And so for me, just being there and going through piles and finding something that's like a vintage, it's probably even like a Chanel, where I'm just like, what? Oh my gosh, And then knowing that I can now offer this to other people, that was like a dream.
The move from, doing them on Facebook or on the socials to physical stores. How did that happen? Because that happened at a very interesting time, COVID, when everybody was shutting down, you were opening up.
Yeah. So these were two, so maybe I can explain also the shift because that was now, what's it called? Thrift. That was my thrift business. So I was able to come up with the funds I needed to start IKOJN.
I will first start with thrift because I've heard my daughters use it. I think it's a posh way of saying me too. So what is thrift?
So thrift is, it's thrifting. It's the whole concept of selling or buying something that was pre-loved or pre-used before. So it's, and in a way I used to look at it like, well, it's sort of like saving the environment, instead of it going to waste, you're finding new life in something that was previously discarded, So that's thrifting.
Sounds like a gentrified way of saying mitush.
It sounds like
previously
a good way.
Loved, gently used.
Listen, it's our way of shining positivity to the fact that Africa has been used as a waste bucket, So we're just like, let's find some nice positive something around it. So the thrifting helped me save money to start IKOJN. And that happened in a span of about a 1.5 to 2 years. I started my brand and I remember I started IKOJN in 2015. Because of this, magic that I saw in social media and business, my idea was just to keep the brand e-com completely. So for me, I was thinking we'll just use social media, we'll have our website, people shop online, we'll deliver. That was my goal for IKOJN. And then be able to have a brand that's like top e-commerce brand in fashion in Africa. Spread it to different countries, everything. So what happened is we'd create a lot of content since inception. We'd do a lot of videos, pictures. I wanted people to be able to see and feel this fabric without having touched it, because that was the biggest thing. It's like, do they know how it moves? Can they feel from the screen? Like, can you tell like this is like a cotton blend linen? So even the descriptions would be very detailed. We'd try and show models walking around with the outfits. We'd show you how to style it, different ways, all of that, because I really wanted to connect to the viewer and the customer before they even felt or touched it. So having done that now for 5 years, because COVID now came in 2020, that was 2015 all the way to 2020, 5 years, we've been doing it so much, it's become sort of part of the brand. And at that time, the brand wasn't big.
And what was the brand called at this time? Was it
still
called
IKOJN? Yes.
Okay.
From the beginning, it was always IKOJN. So then come 2020, everyone is at home. And immediately we saw a huge spike now in our viewership. Because now we'd been creating so much content, we'd be posting 1-2 videos a day, every day. So there was a lot of content. Now, when everybody was home and on their phones, we just saw our views increasing.
You're saying
because we continued.
So you had a team by this time, or you're working with somebody to help you do your digital?
I had a very small team. And I've always said we with the brand, even when it was just me, because it's like me and the brand. So it's we. But at that time, I had a small team. I think it was myself, 1 or 2 seamstresses, and then maybe one other person to help with like logistics, small, maybe like 4 or 5 people. And so immediately we started seeing now people engaging with our content. They're all asking, okay, how do I get this? All of that. And then of course now with the COVID and everything, we even started doing face masks. And if you ask even majority of our customers right now, many of them think we started during COVID. Because we just saw, now we got so many followers and we had so much traffic to the website. All these people, and now all these guys who are coming were like, okay, we love your product, but where can we come and like feel, touch, try on, all of that? And that's now what led us to open our first store.
Where was your first store?
Westlands in Westgate. Yeah, Westgate Mall. And I remember at that time I was so scared. I'll just say our rent was 75K. It was a tiny shop. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know if we'll be able to make rent, guys. This is like, I was really, really terrified about like overheads, things like that. And I remember we opened the first store. We told everybody online. And literally the first month, the store paid itself times 10. The second, third month, like, it was crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, what? Like, it didn't occur to me that actually we can have a shop, because I really hated the idea of having a shop that's stagnant somewhere. And then we can only appeal to the people in that area, you know? And that's what I loved about social media and e-com. It's like, yes, I have the website, but I can reach anybody anywhere in the whole world. But the store did really great. And I was like, okay, so maybe retail is not so bad, you know? And that was our journey into it.
You know, I'm listening to you and I'm just thinking, you're starting a thrifting store in the ultimate, you know, Westgate in terms of malls is up there.
Yeah.
It's a high-end mall for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
How does that resonate with the people? So is it that the first buyers were people who already were interested in the brand, so it's not your walk-ins? You know, I'm seeing that paradox, as it were.
Yeah.
You know, you've started a thrifting store in a high-end mall.
Okay, right. So the thrifting came before IKOJN. Right? The thrifting was 2013, 2014. Then now IKOJN, which is now we made everything in-house, design in-house, create everything and stitch everything from scratch all the way to the finished product. That now is what we started in 2015 and eventually opened a store for. So the thrifting for me was just a stepping stone.
I see.
Yeah. So I just did that straight out. In fact, I started thrifting when I was still in school. I went to fashion school. And so that was sort of my way of raising revenue to start IKOJN.
So what you were selling then was products that you had made yourself with with the ladies.
Yes. With
Your
IKOJN.
own self-designed.
Everything, yeah. Everything from scratch. I would design everything. At that time, I was the only one in my design team, but I'd design everything. And I remember even the ladies I'd hired, I'm the one who trained them on stitching, on pattern making, because I went to fashion school. But then I didn't want to have to get, a tailor who's experienced, because I don't know how much your experience is with tailors, but they can get very rigid and, they're like, okay, don't tell me what to do.
Yes.
And I knew what I wanted for the brand. I had a very, very specific quality in mind. I needed things done the way I learned how to do it in fashion school. And so I had to do the training myself. It was a long process, but I think it's paying off now, because then we were able to maintain that sort of standard throughout.
How many fundis did you start with?
1.
And how many do you have now?
So currently the team is about 40.
Wow.
And 99% of them are women. I'm very proud of that. By the way.
Why? And the reason you should be proud is the statistic, alleged, the African statistic, is that for every 1 employed person, there's 5 people who are directly benefiting. So if you're at 40, that's at least 200 people that you're actually affecting. Yeah. Any reason why not any men fundis?
No, they're men. By the way, that's why I always say 99%, because they listen to this thing and why you say Kwanisia too? No. So majority are women.
Yes.
We do have some men as well.
Yeah.
And the reason I think for me as well why I went into the women, and I'll also preface something and say, when I started IKOJN, I didn't want to get involved in production. Because for me, when I was looking at my role in the fashion industry, I love creating and I love, selling, right? I'm a creator and I'm a saleswoman. But then I didn't want to get into the stickiness of manufacturing and all of that. And now what happened after I'd saved my money from thrifting, when I was now starting IKOJN, I knew I wanted a ready-to-wear brand. And the only place at that time I knew that did manufacturing and production to the level I wanted was China. So I took all my monies that I'd saved from Gikosh. I took myself to China. And long story short, I basically got scammed because we agreed on the product. And when the product landed, after I'd done the payments and everything, when it landed a month later, it was completely different from what we'd agreed. The fabric was the poorest quality ever. It felt like polythene. The zippers were wrong. Everything was, and this was my first collection as IKOJN. And for me at that time, like, I remember the feeling even now when I'm talking about it, I feel like my chest is tight because that was money I'd saved for 2 years, waking up 4 a.m. and it was just all gone. And I couldn't have this as the first representation of the brand. And I remember my mom talked to me that time because I got that shipment on Saturday morning and my heart was just broken. And she said, you know what, this is not, of course, part of the plan, but I'm going to give you the weekend. You cry, do whatever you need to do. But on Monday, you start again. And I was like, cool. I cried all of my tears. My eyes were almost there. I think they even shut from just the selling. But on Monday, I woke up and I started. And what I started with was during my trip, I just picked up a few fabrics here and there. And I was like, okay, at least the other thing is I think I'd bought like 2 or 3 machines before the trip and before the big order. And so I took all those fabrics together, sat down, sketched a new collection, stitched it. At that time is when I also did my first hire. So as I was stitching this collection, I was teaching the girl. And yeah, we stitched everything. I shot everything. I used my friend's sister as a model, shot everything, put it together in a lookbook, sent it to all the fashion people I knew in Nairobi. Of course, all of them said no except one. She said yes, and she was doing a project on African fashion at the time. And she said, oh my gosh, I love this top. I'm going to feature you for free. I was like, cool. And she featured me. And I think the next day she said, people love this top so much. Can I get 10 of them? There's these people who want to buy it. And so we did those. They sold out, I think, in another 48 hours. And then she ordered a bigger batch. And then she ordered more items. And that's how literally IKOJN started. And I just pole, just doing the orders, and then expanded our range, all of that. And yeah.
You know, I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, if you hadn't been messed up by that China order, you wouldn't have started manufacturing at home.
Yeah.
And you were where were you stitching? Like literally on the dining table at home?
Yeah, at that time I think I took up the garage. So I just told my dad, look, I need somewhere to put my machines. And he told me, okay, you can have the garage. So we had the machines there, and that's where I was training. That's where we were doing the stitching. Yeah, and that's just now, yeah.
For somebody who's watching or listening to this, what's a key lesson from your China initiative or your China attempt? Was it that you didn't do your research well as to where to get where to source? What can somebody learn from this? Because many people are like going to China, we'll go and get ready to wear. What's a key lesson? What should somebody do?
I do believe that, yes, you can still have a very successful business sourcing from China. I think for me, what I needed was, the difference is that I wanted something I'd created to be done by somebody else, right? So I wasn't picking a ready product to sell. I wanted them to make something I came up with. Now, the lesson there that I learned is control. The minute the idea is in your head, no one else will understand it better than you. Okay? So you need to find some form of control to make sure that what is in your head is done exactly to your spec, whether it means staying there. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing it in China, but you need to have a form of control. You can't just leave it and let guys run with it. You need to have step by step. It needs to go exactly the way you've envisioned it. Otherwise, no one else will do it the way you
It's quality control.
It is.
Yeah?
Casey,
so you sort of can't do this, especially designed by remote control, because it's a production process.
It is, yeah.
And you have to be checking at each point from when it's cut to when all of the stitching is done, I would imagine.
The fitting, any things you need to change. Yeah.
So you get this lady, somebody, agrees to showcase your product. It takes off. Who are the first clients? Who are the first buyers? And all of these are all buying online.
Yes, they're all buying online.
And how do you do your sizing? We are all such different shapes as African women and sizes.
Yeah, so the sizing is actually a cool question, because at that time, I think we were using the UK sizing. Because that's the sizing I learned in school. But then over time, we had to actually formulate our own sizing, because I realized this UK sizing is not fitting. Even for me, it doesn't fit me. So we had to tweak it to be able to accommodate more of our bodies. And, it's still a struggle now, because even when I look at other brands locally, we don't have a local sizing guide. And so everybody sort of has their own, way of doing it. But that's how we used to do our sizing. Everything was online at that time. There was no store. And, we tried to be as flexible as we could, because that's the thing with shopping online. You need to think from the side of your customer. Yeah. Because I also loved shopping online. I still do. So I had to think, what's my customer thinking as they're looking at this amazing thing they're thinking of buying? They're already thinking, okay, I'm going to be scammed. These guys, maybe I'm going to pay them and they won't give me my product. Okay, what if it's poor quality? So those are all of the issues I was trying to address. And one of the big ones was making sure that in the event you pick us and you want to buy a product from us, I want you to know that your money is not held up somewhere and you can't have it back, right? If you don't like it for any reason, we can give you a refund. If there's anything maybe you're not sure about, we're there. So it became like our full-time job to reassure our customer, because I knew I needed the brand to be online. And we did that for a lot. Even before we opened retail, even to this day, one of the people that I think are so important in the brand is our customer service, because we need to repeatedly let our customers, new and old, know that the minute you spend money at IKOJN, see now it's locked there. Yeah. Your satisfaction is the guarantee. So if for any reason you don't like the product, for any reason maybe it doesn't fit, maybe whatever, just know that we always have that open line of communication where we can give you something until you're satisfied, and that's a big part of online and e-com.
And I would imagine for e-com, one of the most important, e-com being e-commerce, I'm assuming.
Yes, e-commerce, yeah.
Is the order fulfillment. So that part of your
Yes.
supply chain is
Yes.
so important. You'd have to have partnered with somebody who can do that last mile.
Yeah.
Was that developed at the time? Because about between 2015 and 2020, now we
Yes.
have got so many, shall we say, last mile delivery people who do this. But at that time, it wasn't as developed as it is now.
Yeah.
How did you go about that?
I love your questions because I feel like you're just able to dig into all of the traumas we
That
went
you
through.
had, yeah.
So, yes, you're right. At that time, we didn't have a lot of logistics providers, especially for small business. Even they do this at that time. I feel like now it's a lot more, stable where guys know they can always do this. So that time, I remember we had tried, we used to have a couple of just random bikers who we'd call in case we have orders for delivery. But as you know, that's also not very because you need to think about the safety, number one, of the package, where it's going, and also the presentation that it's getting to the customer at, because it's so easy to manage the customer experience when you have a store. But then it's so difficult to manage it when you're having to rely on this other person. After you don't know kama amepaka deodorant, you don't even know how they're talking to the customer, you get. And so I think it got to a point where I was so frustrated. I said, you know what, we're going to buy our own bike and we're going to have our own rider and we're just going to do our thing ourselves. Hey, let me tell you, the dust.
You chap at character development.
Yeah. My job stopped being designing and building IKOJN. It was now managing this rider and the police and the who every single second of every day. Yani, I'm here, I'm trying to, I'm being called, oh, nimeshikwa, oh, sijui, wanaulizwa nini. I'm like, guys, we had that bike for exactly 3 weeks and I gave up. And in those 3 weeks, it was impounded like 7 times. Back I'm asking this rider, kwani unaenda tu unakaa tu even there, as in so that this cop can just get you. And he's like, amechukua funguo. I'm like, bruh. Let me tell you. That was the first and last time. And so I remember now, since then, I went now on the hunt looking for somebody who can do that for us. Because I said, I'm not going to deal.
Yeah.
I'm not going to deal with that.
It's not your core business.
My God. Hi, guys. I don't think you understand how traumatic that was. But yeah, so I think after that, I think at that point we opened our store. And so what we started also doing is offering store pickup, right? So, and a lot of our customers actually opted for that because they would save a lot on delivery fees. So we'd use that point for customers to come and pick up their order from there. And it was great because they'd fit in the store. If they're not happy with it, either they exchange, whatever, as we were still working on our logistics for delivery. And then I made it like one of my high priorities. We got someone. So we worked with a couple over the years, but I think at that point I got, a small company. It was a very small company. I think they had just had like 3-4 riders, and they were able to take up that part of the logistics for us. Worked for a while. Unfortunately, they had to close. So also with this kind of companies, because again, they're dealing with the riders, so you find they have a very high turnover of just staff generally. They always have my issues. So we worked with a couple over the years, but I think the guys we're using now are pretty good.
Primarily outsourced.
Completely.
You're like,
that one I can't even touch. I'm saying, nope.
You reminded me, there's a company I was buying cupcakes from and I was having them delivered because I like to give cupcakes as a gift.
Yeah.
And so I ordered the cupcakes from this company and I'm trying to remember it. I used my own rider at the time. I told him, go get the cupcakes and deliver to this lady. So he delivered. So the lady calls me and she's like, Carol, thanks. I've got the cupcakes. But let me send you a picture. Okay, so instead of carrying the cupcakes like that.
I knew it.
I knew it. He carried the box like this. And so she got a stack of cupcakes.
Oh my goodness.
And I said, that's the last time I'm going to use the guy. Yesterday, I ordered, my daughter loves pizza and there's this new pizza place that I actually, this is a very place you're talking about. And so first, I like to talk to a human being, all right? So I called this pizza place and the telephone number says, "Hi, this is so-and-so." So I said, "Hi." And then it says, "I'm an AI. Please let me take your..." I cut.
Yeah.
I called 4 times.
Until
I got a male AI agent, female AI agent, another different male AI agent, and another female. And I said, "This is ridiculous. I want to talk to a human being." Anyway, long story short, you go back to the website, say, "Please order via WhatsApp." It was beautiful. They've got a very nice interactive, whatever.
Okay.
So interactive that it tells you your order is ready.
Yes.
The rider is at the restaurant.
Yes.
Rider has picked up. He's on the way. Now this should have taken 20 minutes.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So I'm tracking the rider. Then the rider disappears. Okay, I can see it's not moving and it's saying 5 kilometers away, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then 15 minutes later, he's still in the same spot. So I'm like, "Boss, habari gani?" I call. "Habari gani mzuri? Where are you?" "I am here. Niko up." So anyway, long story short, we spoke maybe 8 times.
Wow.
All right. And I'm like, "What can you see?"
Okay.
He says, sijui, lakini wacha niulize mtu. I said, "But you can see something." "Hapana, mi sijui."
Any word, anything.
Yeah. Guy arrived, very humble guy.
Okay.
The pizza was also like this.
Yeah,
So I don't know. Okay, so the pizza was like that. So we kind of got what is called a calzone. You know, a calzone is when a pizza is folded over. So it was really good. But which was more interesting is that the guy says, "Unajua mama, mimi siwezi ongea Kiingereza, mimi naongea Kifaransa." So it turns out, which is something that I'm hearing from a lot of people, there's a lot of Burundians in the market now in people's farms. And they're now in the last mile delivery. So he didn't know where he was. Because I was like, how can you know? What are you seeing?
Yeah.
So he doesn't read English.
Yeah.
So I completely get this whole thing called last mile delivery and how it's so important in the retail space,
it really
in consumer goods and in food.
Yeah, it really is. You know, and as a brand, sometimes you, again, on control, you lose a little bit of control because you can't really like vet each and every rider that they use. But I'm glad with the guys we're using right now, they've been able to allocate us one rider. And so we're able to, you know, make sure he understands our process. If there's anything that needs to be paid on delivery, he understands. We need, sometimes even when we're having promos, we'll dress him with like our branded, you know, something just to like enhance that experience a little bit. But of course that came with time working with the company. And then also building, because they'll give you some of these packs if your orders get to a certain number. It's just one-off. No, not really. And so, yeah, it's just, I don't know, we built relationships and hopefully, yeah, we can just say, imagine that's just business. I've actually learned business is just maintaining relationships and just like, you know, the longer you are with somebody, the more advantages and like the more packs you're able to get from them, suppliers, whoever it is, you know? Yeah.
Where are you sourcing your fabric from?
So currently we source all our fabric locally, which means it's all imported because there's really no one producing any textile in Kenya right now. It's a big headache, right? It's something that I feel should be addressed, especially like policy level, where we need to have, and it was there before, you know, there was a time Kenya produced her own cotton, her own textile, and all those industries just died completely. And so for us, all of our textile is imported, whether directly or through, you know, third party. Yeah, and it's a one part of the chain that really breaks my heart because I really want to be a fully made in Kenya brand, but then that part we just have not been able to figure out.
Have you thought about going to source material yourself, or is it a question of volumes? Is it a question of scale? We
do some, so we split. So for some of the fabrics that we use a lot of, those ones we source directly, right? And yeah, I've had to take some trips to just like go and figure out who to source from, all that.
To China?
Yes, imagine. Let me tell you, I went. In fact, I didn't think you'd notice, but yeah, so I went back last year.
So you humbled yourself and went back.
Girl. Yeah. I went back last year, and that was after 10 years. Yeah. It was exactly 10 years. And I remember even before my trip last year, I had to talk myself in the mirror and just say, you know what, girl, you got this. You're strong. I know last time didn't work out, but this time, you know, now you know better. Yeah. And they're not gonna, you know, I really had to, And I went and it was successful and I was able to meet with suppliers. And so some of the fabrics that we use a lot, those ones we'll source directly. But then the other fabrics that are more, trendy fashion, those ones we source locally.
You source locally, meaning somebody does mass importation.
Exactly. And then we just go and pick.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've largely built IKOJN on a phone in plain view. You've been very open about the wins, the wardrobes, your face, your taste, your life. And you'd say that the brand and the woman are deliberately the same thing. Yeah? What's the cost of building that visibility? Does it have a positive cost and a negative cost, as it were? Have you looked yourself up? Do you regularly do brand audits on yourself? And and what is the internet saying? And what rumor about yourself surprised you?
Rumor, wow. Okay. So I think I'll start with the personal and IKOJN brand being one and the same. Initially, that was not my intention because I remember when I started IKOJN, I really needed to prove not only to myself, but I think also a bit to my parents that this thing would work, like this is a legit, of course it was a passion of mine and I went and I studied for it and they trusted me that, you're taking an uncharted course and so we're going to trust you. But I needed to prove to myself that I made the right decision, right? And so I didn't want the brand, because at that time, of course, I had connections, I had friends online and everything, but it wasn't anything like it is right now. And I needed the brand to sort of stand on its own feet. And I'm the one who used to handle the social media for the brand. And IKOJN social media started before me. So immediately, like when we started the brand in 2015, I was the one handling social media. And I did for probably about 6 years until we got someone else. And,
That's heavy.
Yeah. It's because, again, control. After my experience, I was like, I'm going to do every single aspect. I'm going to learn every single aspect of this business, do it myself before I even hand over to anybody else. So even now, but I'm not even usually freaked out. Even if maybe a staff member or someone is a bit disgruntled, they want to leave, I'm like, it's fine. I've done all these things, I've done them. And so I needed just that sense of control with that, especially with our social media, because I knew this was our primary way to reach our consumer. And so I did our socials for about 6 years. Now, Cris didn't start our social media, I think, until 3-4 years after.
And whose brand, Cris?
So Cris is my personal brand.
Okay.
Right? So we have my personal brand and then we have the IKOJN brand. So I did the IKOJN brand, and then I think now 4 years into doing that is when I was like, you know what? I think it would be great, important, maybe informative for people to see what it takes or the process of building a brand in Kenya, right? At that time, I was in my 20s. And I used to get a lot of questions, from other young people, either my age or younger. They're like, oh my gosh, how are you doing it? What are you? All these questions. And I'm like, okay, I think let me start something to sort of share my experience, my journey. Yeah. And that's how now my personal brand came about. Now, as we speak, yes, the two brands are very meshed together because obviously everybody knows I'm the founder of IKOJN. And even the team now, because now we have a team that handles our social media, they love when I'm on the IKOJN page. If I do any styling content, if I'm just speaking to the customers, they're like, our people they love when you're on camera at IKOJN. And so they want me to do more of that. And we're always having conversations because I'm like, I need to separate Cris and IKOJN because it needs to be so. And they're like, yeah, we get it. But we're just saying the people love it when you're on it. So we
What does that mean? When people love you when you're on it? When love who? Cris when she's on the IKOJN
pages. Platform. Yes. Because you see, we work with models. We have our models. We work with influencers. They have their content strategy is completely different from me. Right. So IKOJN has their own their own plans with social media. They work with their own influencers, everything. But then because I'm the founder, every time I go online on the IKOJN side, people are more curious. They want to wear what the founder is wearing. They want to, so they even say that they'll see a spike in sales when I am on the IKOJN page wearing something from IKOJN. Vis-a-vis if they're still just using the creators, the models, everything, it's like, yes, it's okay. But then when you come on, it's like, yay, everyone is excited.
That is so interesting.
Yeah. So I try and balance it out because I don't want it to be too joint, because I also still, again, need the brand to stand on its own 2 feet. And one of the risks that I'm sure a lot of founders face, especially when you're building like full front, very open about it, is if anything happens in your personal life, if you're too attached to the brand, immediately the brand also suffers, right? And so that's always like I'm always on edge about that, where it's like, I need to make sure, even as a Cris brand, clean, there's no weird rumors or like any, easy mads, night or what, like, what do you call all these 2 pages who have gossip? These are my gossip sites, things like that.
Yeah.
We try and stay as clean as possible just because of, that attachment. And that's one of the risks you run when you're building as a founder very openly. Just making sure that, you're not caught up in all that mess, because it might directly impact,
especially when your brand, and I completely resonate with this, which very few people know. Well, I didn't know that IKOJN was Njoki the other way around, right? It's not me, I was told. Okay. Yeah. I was 1 month-old when I heard about that.
Yeah.
But I resonate with what you're saying, which is separating the individual from the brand is very, very hard. And anything that happens to the individual will have blowback onto the brand. So back to the question I was asking about that brand audit, how often do you go back and check, very quickly, what are people saying? Or do you have Google alerts on your name?
Yeah.
And what do you do in the event you find something that's not true? Do you sort of batten down the hatches and just say, look, 2 days and it'll blow over, which is typically, you hope that something new comes that just blows over, or do you address it? Yeah. And I'm speaking to you now as somebody learning about how social media works and whether we should address everything, especially our generation. We're always like, and you guys will live in this universe. This is your universe, and you're like, 2 days and it'll go, or 2 hours. What would you advise?
Yes. So what I would say is, I know for the IKOJN brand, for sure, we have to be on high alert, right? Because for me, again, having such a strong social media presence and wanting to be very strong on e-commerce as well, I need to know what's happening on ground. So on the IKOJN side, we definitely have alerts. If anyone says anything on any platform, we're always in the know, like literally real time. And then we need to figure out quickly how we're going to address this. And, when you look at the brand, because what people would say about the brand, it's very tangible. So it's like either they went to a store and they got bad service, or maybe the quality or things like that. And those for me are easy fixes, because it's like, okay, it's something tangible that I can trace back. I can find a solution. Those are easy. And so for that one, I'm not usually too worried about it. And to be honest, we've had a pretty fair run, Okay. Even some of the issues we've experienced, nothing too crazy, that's like blown out of proportion. Now, on the personal side, now with the Cris brand, that one is where sometimes it can get a bit, more emotional, and like it's layered. Yeah. I don't have alerts on that. It sort of just like finds me. But again, I think I've still been quite lucky on that front. What I would say is, I'm not very confrontational. I try to keep my private life private. And so I think I've had an okay run, to be honest. Like, if I compare with other stories I've had, I'm grateful. I've actually had a pretty easy time on social.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You've done a pretty good job of managing your brand and talking openly, but you've talked openly about losing money.
Yeah.
And we had one on our podcast a few podcasts ago, John Gomi, who's a doyen of corporate and investment banking in this country. And he spoke very openly about his failures. And that episode has done very, very well in terms of people viewing it, particularly people resonating with the fact that there's no hiding. This is it, warts and all.
Yeah.
What does it mean for you to speak publicly about failure? And what does failure mean to you? And again, you're speaking to people who are watching, who want the good, the bad, and most importantly, the ugly. There's no peppering over it. Mm-hmm. This is what it takes. Mm-hmm. And this is how I dealt with it.
Right. So I think even for me, because I really hold myself to a high standard, right? Again, I took a path that was less traveled. At the time, no one was really going into the creative space, especially going to school and then studying at that time. And so already I knew, okay, there's no plan B or C or D. This is it. It needs to work. And so with that, of course, I put a lot of pressure on myself. And it's been a journey. We're not quite there yet. There are some failures that, yes, I have expressed, I've talked about. And even those I sort of had to build myself to be able to share, because at the end of the day, I know how difficult it was for me starting out. And what drives me to be able to share some of these failures is I wouldn't want anybody else to make the same mistake, right? Because even at that time, I remember knowing that I wanted to start a ready-to-wear brand. I looked around and no one was doing it. There was I didn't have anybody to sort of benchmark myself on, or maybe go for a bit of advice. Everyone in the industry at that time was doing a lot of custom made, super expensive, premium, And so for me, if I can be that guide in however small way I can contribute, that's why I'm able to share some of the failures. I will be honest, I've not shared all of them, just because there are some that are so dear to me, and even the idea of even saying it, because of that high level of standard I have for myself, even I sometimes will feel like a failure because of some of them. I'll still have to work through, a lot of that. It's an internal thing. But I think also one of the things I've learned running a business is, as much as you're learning the ropes in business, one of the biggest things it's done for me is it's taught me so much about myself as well. I've had so much personal growth running a business, because I can be a little bit of a control freak and a couple of other things, but I feel like running a business has really taught me to just, be more forgiving, not just to others, but even to myself, And as I say, it's been a journey. I don't share everything. And the things that I haven't shared, it's definitely still a work in progress. I'm still a work in progress. The business is a work in progress, But yeah, I think for me, the reason I share is just if it can help somebody out there.
Are there other entrepreneurs that you link up with, just, to sit and commiserate over a glass of wine of guy?
Yes.
You guys have scarified you, as kajofied you. I mean, do you have other...
Yeah, definitely.
You need that.
Definitely. In fact, I think 2 years ago is when I realized I don't have a circle of other entrepreneurs around me. And so I set out to intentionally build that. Joined a couple of clubs here and there, entrepreneurship clubs, and I have met a lot of entrepreneurs along the way. We keep in touch. Something just happens. You're like, wait, has Kanjo come to your shop?
Yep.
Things like that. Yeah. And to be honest, it does take. And I think for me, what it made me realize is, your business is the same, whichever way you go. Whether you're in medicine or you're whichever industry, you'll find that all entrepreneurs, all founders, all business owners, more or less, were experiencing the same struggles. Just,
in different forms.
Yeah,
I mean, in different scale.
Yes.
Yeah, some more than others.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we can paint this picture on social, like they say, social media is like your highlight reel. It's not your real life. And you meet, with fellow entrepreneurs, and you're like, oh my God, but you look like you're doing so well online. That's something I get a lot. And I was like, yeah, it's tough, you know? But yeah, it's just that I think people need to just realize, yes, we show our best sides. We don't show everything. But there's a lot that goes on. Yeah.
Taking you back to your ready-to-wear, do you do for men?
Unfortunately, a lot. And I don't want the men to come for me, guys, because I get this question from men so much. They're like, when are you going to start a menswear? Men don't like shopping, guys. You're going to run us out of business.
Present company accepted, but they've got their women who will shop for them.
Yeah, maybe that's the angle we need to take.
Yeah.
Do you want to join IKOJN? You can handle the men's section.
Because that's typically what happens is, you know, they'll be like, they're going for a wedding and I'm like, let me get this for him. Yeah.
No, we don't have one. I toy with the idea now and then, but I don't know. I'm not convinced.
But you sound like you've been very lucky. You're very instinctual, and maybe I should respect your instincts because, you know, how did you start? You know, you took the famous 4 pictures with your mom's camera and boom, it went.
Yeah.
And every piece of growth, every aspect of growth in your business has been instinctual. You just instinctively know. So what I'm hearing you is that this recalcitrance, that's a big Kisungu word for just to hold back, is coming from your sense that it might not take off. What if you did a small line, a small formal, you know, wedding wear type? When I say wedding, they might come for me. And I'm speaking to the ones here of how you go for Kenyan weddings and the women are decked out and a guy has chomokad in his jeans, sneakers, and a, you know, ngombe disengenge t-shirt type. And my God, and your lady there is looking so good.
Yeah.
You know, what about
But would you say it's because of a lack of options? Or is it an innate, they just don't have a desire to dress up?
Sartorial laziness?
You see,
they're going to come after us, you know this.
They will, but look, facts are facts, guys.
They're going to come after us proper.
No, the thing is, and it's something that I know I've spoken about with other entrepreneurs in this space. Please, Aki, don't come for me, Kenyans, but let me tell you, Kenyans just like, they don't like dressing up, sana. You know, a Kenyan will choose comfort over flamboyance or over looking like, whoa, $1 million. A Kenyan will choose safety, something they're used to, you know. Kenyans don't like experimenting too much when it comes to fashion. And these are women. I'm talking now from the women because we serve women. Now, back to your point, you said, you know, you go to a wedding, the woman is all decked out, and the man is wearing jeans. Now imagine if that's my thoughts on the women and our experience on the women, now imagine the men. You know, already we are having to, you know, really show women, look, maybe instead of just a plain dress, what if it has like a flash of color on the side? What if it has like a detail? And you know, and they're very receptive now. And I feel like we've gotten to a good place with the women, even at IKOJN, where they want a bit more like drama, a little, but not too much. You know, you also can't go too loud. But they want a little bit of a detail here, a nice kind of flash of color here. But now imagine now the men.
So you're saying we're conservative?
We are. Dressing-wise,
yeah,
for sure, 100%. Especially if you now look at now the corporate side. Because I'll tell you, Kenyans, number one, shop for work, number one. Before they shop for wedding, before they shop, because that's what they're doing every day. Like 5 days in the week, they're going to work, you know? And if you think of it in that way, the corporate space in Kenya is black, gray, and it's just black and gray.
The banking and insurance industry, I don't know that the others would be like that.
But generally, I feel like guys have that perception.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
And so you find now we're sort of trying to egg guys on, like, look, even at work, maybe you can throw in a red or a purple, you know? So guys are now getting out of their comfort zone. But now if you tell us to go into the men, we'll
leave it that way. We don't want them to come after us. Let them not come after us.
Maybe in a different country it would work, you know? Yeah. Like if you think of now like DRC, you know, probably they'd be more.
Well, they're very big on fashion. Cris, you said something out loud that we were, and again, back to the generational, what I'm finding fascinating about talking to you and why I wanted to talk to you is just that, is our generation were taught never to say we love money.
Okay.
You say me, I love money.
Me, I love money.
Okay, and you say it loudly. Okay. Yeah. For us, when we talk about it, we just say, no, us we are making an impact in with my children and with my home and with my work, but we never say, I love money, I'm making money, and it's really frowned upon. Yeah. In my generation. Let's talk about that. Is it a generational thing or is it a Cris thing?
I think it's a bit of both, you know. I think for me, mine came from the fact that I'm running a business. Why am I running this business? Okay. Like I told you, I wasn't planning on getting into manufacturing. That means I wasn't planning into employing majority women. That sort of caught up with me when I was in it. And then as we were doing it, I was like, oh my gosh, I can see the impact I'm making. Let's continue. But for me, I was running this business because I needed money. I needed it to be a successful business. To me, a successful business, whether people will agree with me or not, but a successful business is cash flow and it's money in the bank. For me, that's it. And so I haven't studied finance or any of that. So I don't know like the lingo, the systems, whatever, but I just knew I needed cash flow and money in the bank, right? However we got it, that's what we needed. And now as I continued with the business and now even opened up other streams of revenue for myself, I realized, look, we are all in this world for the first time. Okay, we all want the best experiences life has to offer. We want to live our best lives. And whether we like it or not, that will be guided by the money we make, you know? I know people say money doesn't buy happiness. And yes, there's different schools of thought, but I think it does make life easier. And you also have the opportunity to explore things you actually enjoy when you're able to have adequate money. And so for me, it's, yes, the impact came about and I love that we do make an impact, but at the end of the day, it's like, Besha.
So you got money in your pocket and you're quite okay.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And this financial independence must mean a lot to you. I want to say probably coming from your childhood. I remember watching a podcast where you talk about your father was very big on saving. Right?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was big on saving. And I know you'd also said the same thing. I used to get like the smallest amount of pocket money and then I'd just find a way to make it work. And to be honest, that actually helped me even with running the business. Because even to this day, I'm just like, how can we get all this, but like with like the tiniest amount? And so that's sort of like been my motto, you know, spend less and get more somehow.
You've said something interesting, which is you're not a finance person, but you figured out that cash flow is king. Do you have a good accounts person? Is that something very critical for anyone who's watching?
Yeah.
You know, in terms of setting up your business.
Yeah. Having
somebody who is literate in numbers, because numbers drive your business. Yeah. What would you say?
Definitely. I think it took us a long time at IKOJN to get somebody to really go through the numbers. But once we did, I mean, what was I doing? I think I was having a hobby. That was not a business. I think by the time we were getting someone to come in and look at the numbers properly, we were like on our 6th, 7th year. And they showed me the numbers. I'm like, guys, at some point we're even going at a loss. And I didn't know. You know, you run a business and the money is coming in, you're thinking, we're good. And somehow you stay afloat, you're good. I was like, yeah, no, we need to shift some things. And it completely changed how I ran IKOJN. Once I saw those figures, now every decision is based on money. It doesn't matter whether it's a photo shoot, if it's a new shop, if it's not just on a whim. Because that's, you know, sometimes when you're like a bit of a creative, things you're just like, I slept and I had a dream. And guys, I think we just need to, we need to have this collection made from feathers. It's like, no. Let's look at the numbers. And it's down to, now it's like down to the shilling.
Well done.
Yeah, it's
Well
down to the shilling.
Yeah, I work a lot with entrepreneurs starting out, and I always say revenue is not profit. Those are
really
two very,
not.
between revenue and profit, there's some big thing called cost.
Yes.
Yeah, and being able to differentiate the two. So to your point about you can have money in the bank, but it's not your money.
It's not.
It belongs to the supply
the
chain.
business. Yeah.
Our last question before I go into the whimsical part of this podcast, which is, if a genie appeared out of a bottle and gave you 3 wishes, what would you change over the last 10 years of IKOJN's existence?
Wow. What would I change?
A few moments later.
Okay, I'd say the first one. This one is a bit of a pro and a con for me because it does have its positives. But I think the first thing I would change is maybe at our year 2, year 3 mark, have enough capital to bring in professionals. So bring in people who know what they're doing as opposed to bringing in people who I was training, because it was okay for the first year because it was mostly about production, it was product building. And so it was crucial that I trained on that. But then by the second, third year, we would have gone a long way if we had some marketing, someone who, was very conversant with the space, probably accounting, money, finance, advertising, customer service. A lot of these things we started developing in year 7 because that's when now the money allowed. So I think if we got that in not the first year, second, third year, would have gone a lot. We'd be miles ahead right now. Yeah. So that's one. What should I change last 10 years? Wow. I wish that I'd gotten over my fear of China sooner.
That's interesting.
I wish I did. Yes, I was burnt the first time, but by year 3, surely I should have been okay to go back. I think that would have set the pace because now is when I'm like, okay, now we're sort of like gaining some momentum after my trip last year. But I think I should have done it sooner.
What would you have been getting from China before that you're getting now?
Sourcing. So a lot of sourcing of the raw materials. I think if we did that earlier, would have been in the game longer. We'd be now, like, it would have just been a way longer relationship. Would have probably been more innovative, faster, because now is when sort of we're getting into that space. And I know it's going to take another 2 years or so. So yeah, I should have gotten over that sooner. Last one, let's see, a genie. Okay, so for this one, I'm gonna say probably on the retail front. Look, I know we have stores all around, but again, I'm still very close with e-commerce. That's been my goal for IKOJN from the beginning, which we ended up opening a couple of stores around. But I still am very into being able to have a strong presence online, people to be able to get us from anywhere around the world, and that's through e-com. And so if I had a wish, I'd probably have taken a bit more time before opening the first store and not opening others after that. Probably had a bigger strategy of maybe having a flagship in either every country or every city, as opposed to just stores littered everywhere. Yeah, so probably I think we didn't quite have like a long-term strategy when it came to the stores. Yes, they're great, they perform great, but I would have wanted something a bit more streamlined.
How many retail stores you've got?
Currently, we have 3, and then we're stocked in other stores around Africa.
So somebody carries an IKOJN collection.
Yes.
And so if I'm getting you right, you're saying you'd have wanted to focus a lot more on the e-commerce element because that gives you greater traction from a global perspective, visibility.
Yeah.
Would you have sorted your international fulfillment by then? So you're doing, you talk about the struggle in terms of fulfilling orders on a local basis. What about on a global basis?
Yeah.
Have you sorted that out?
Yeah. Currently, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, currently, anybody anywhere around the world is able to shop on the IKOJN website, and using our partners, which are integrated into the site, immediately they can see the fee, how much it's going to cost, and they just plug and play, make the payment, and the package goes the next day.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they receive it in about 2-3 days.
Can you do it today, then expand? Because I'm sitting here thinking, you talked about, because this was a looking back question.
Yes.
Again, from learning, because I'm learning from this, what stops you from still focusing on it or throwing more resources? Does it require a lot more financial resources than a physical store?
Yeah. No, it doesn't actually. And it's good you've pointed that out, because that now was our strategy this year moving. So last year is when I made the decision that we're going to push e-com a lot more. So put in some of the blogs, hired a few more people in that team. And then now this year, that's all we've been pushing. So like really going ham online, spreading out our wings, even in terms of advertising into different regions. So now it's more actively going, and I'm giving it maybe like 2-3 years. But that's the goal, to like really, really hone in on our e-commerce and make it a bigger, would you say, like a bigger platform than all of our retail combined? Yeah,
a bigger route to market. What I'm hearing is in the next 5-6 years, brand Cris will be advising us or giving us consultancy on how to build e-commerce platforms for whatever it is that we're doing, even if it's exporting cups.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of
Africa
learning.
as a market and not just Kenya.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, now we figured we're coasting down to the end of this. And we run a segment called Nitpicks on the Quick. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. Just tell us what comes to mind instantly, all right?
Okay.
Early riser or sleep in on the weekends?
On the weekends, early riser. Early riser.
You say that with so much joy. Do you go jogging? Are you those people who must jog like at 4 in the morning?
So actually, it's because during the week, I'm an early riser. I actually wake up at 4 in the morning. And so it's difficult to switch off that clock over the weekend. Because it's like, even on Friday, I'll sleep so late watching a movie. I'll sleep at like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And I was like, I'll sleep in so nicely tomorrow. And I find myself awake at 6. So I'm like, no, what's this? So, yeah.
Text or phone call?
It depends, right? If it's work, text. If it's personal, phone call.
Cooking a meal or ordering takeout?
Cooking.
What do you like to cook?
Okay, I prefer cooking over takeout, but I actually don't like cooking.
Just listen to that answer right there. I want you to just listen to yourself right there. All right? Okay, I prefer cooking a meal but not takeout, but I don't like cooking.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tafakari hayo.
So I like a home cooked meal. So I get somebody to cook for me.
There we go.
Yeah, but I don't like takeout so much. I don't know what they've put in it. Sounds like I don't like that. I like, again, control. I like knowing what's going in my body.
Mountains or the beach?
Beach.
Travel back in time or fast forward your life?
Fast forward.
To?
Specific year?
No. Maybe age range, time.
Age range. I'd like to be in my 50s, actually.
50s are fantastic.
Yeah, I'd like to be in my 50s.
Yeah, you'll be very forgetful, but very, very
which is great. What off a duck's back? It's like, if you didn't make an impression, I'm sorry.
I love that. Favorite Kenyan dish?
Fish, coconut fish with ugali and skuma. That saucy one. I had some yesterday.
One thing you always carry with you?
Lip balm. Yeah, I can't do chapped lips. I can't do dry lips, guys. I'm sorry. It's so like, I can't think. Like when my lips are dry, I literally cannot think. The whole time I'm saying, guys, after I pay Vaseline, I don't care. I just need something for my lips.
What's your go-to stress reliever?
Let's see. Stress reliever. To be honest, can I be very honest? And this is gonna sound crazy, but I don't get stressed a lot. I really don't get stressed. And so when I hear that question, I'm just like, I actually have to think about what I do when I'm stressed. Can I pass on that?
Somebody in the office has just ticked you off. A supplier was supposed to supply zips.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And has supplied really pathetic set of zips, or the fabric that was supposed to come in was supposed to be 400 Egyptian cotton, 400 thread count.
Yeah.
And it has come as 250.
Right.
You know, and you've got this massive order that you need to deliver to 4 of your distribution points in Africa by end of April. Now you're just like, I'm so stressed.
So for me,
What would you do? What would you do to just...
So for me, what I would do to relieve that stress is to find a solution. So that's my thing. It's like, what is stressing me? Is it something I can find a solution to? And if I can't, why is it stressing me? Because it's either I can fix it or I can't. And if I can't fix it, then why the stress? And it's like, it is what it is, you know?
What feeds your soul? You're very whimsical, very light. You don't look like you carry a lot of baggage. What feeds your soul? You know, is it driving out in the countryside? Something just gives you zen. Maybe that should be the question. What gives you zen?
Wow. I think for me, it could be hearing other people's stories, right? Because I make it a habit to listen to people who have built something I admire. And I hear some of the struggles they go through. And I'm like, this one of mine is child's play. This is nothing, you know? Maybe that's what I would say is my way of relieving stress, because it does make me feel like whatever is stressing me at the moment, it's part of the process. It makes me feel like, okay, so let me just unclench. Let me breathe out. Probably this is not even the worst that's going to happen. So let me prepare myself for the worst things. Yeah. I know it's probably not the answer you're looking for, but
it's your answer.
Yeah.
Most inspiring place you visited?
Inspiring? Inspiring. Wow. I'd probably have to say that's a tough one. Inspiring. I'd have to say China.
After all that you've said about China, let's have a conversation. Let's decide.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a place that traumatized you.
It did, yes. It did.
But now inspires you.
Yes, because I think two things can exist at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you see, just because it traumatized me doesn't make it less inspirational. For me, the times I've been there, it's just the possibilities of it all, you know? And I'm not sure if you've been there, but when you go there, it's like you feel like there's so much that you can do. There's so much possibility. Like, why am I even holding like barriers for myself? Why am I saying I can only be this or I can only do this? I think just being able to see everything they've achieved and they continue to, and seeing how many people are running, you know, mega businesses just from that place, I think for me that's super inspirational.
Okay.
Yeah.
Read the book or watch the movie?
Read the book.
What are you reading right now?
So I just finished a book last night. It was called Silent Partner. Yeah, I do enjoy a thriller. If it's movies, I do enjoy a horror. Just anything that's gonna make me think. A lot of like twists and turns. So yeah, definitely a book.
Fantastic. Cris Njoki, aka the IKOJN. Thank you. You are fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime.
You made me open up in ways I haven't before on a podcast. So
thank you.
You're also great. Yeah.
Asante.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Cris Njoki and I'm at the Nitpicker Podcast. I'm the founder and CEO of fashion brand IKOJN, which is a made in Kenya women's wear brand made by women for women. And to find us, you can get us on all of our social medias at IKOJN Live. You can also find my personal social media at Cris Njoki. We do have a couple of stores around Kenya. You can find us at Yaya Center, Imara Mall, and Greenhouse Mall. You can also shop online on our website, www.ikojn.com.
What a conversation with the icon herself. Cris Njoki doesn't separate easily from IKOJN. And that's a puzzle she's still solving, letting the brand stand on its own so she can simply live as herself. When the world wants to wear whatever you're wearing, that separation becomes its own kind of growth. And growth is a word for all of it. She has learned to be forgiving, especially with herself. She has stopped apologizing for her instinct and started trusting. She just knows. But maybe the thing Cris leaves us with isn't about business at all. It's a dare. Get out of your comfort zone. Not in some grand life overhaul way, just a flash of color where you'd usually play it safe, an unexpected detail, something that gives you joy. Because the way Cris sees it, what you wear isn't just fabric, it's what you define it as. Thanks for watching the Nitpicker Podcast, where we share interesting stories about interesting people doing interesting things. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.